Hello, my name is Starlight. Welcome to my YouTube channel, and I'm reaching out to all of you beautiful souls out there. I hope you're getting out in nature like Starlight is. What a beautiful park out here. First time at this park. It is so beautiful. A lot of people are out and out hiking today, doing sports, getting outside. What's your excuse? I see you out in there in your house, on your computer, So anyway, if you are new to my YouTube channel, welcome, and you could find me on YouTube, and that is at Starlight, and that is Kathy with a K Dingman. Plus, you could give my videos a thumbs up, and you could subscribe to my YouTube channel. Plus, don't forget, don't be afraid, don't be shy, swing by and say, "Hi, Starlight," and you could leave me a message down below, beep, beep, beep. Plus, don't forget my playlist, and you could share my videos with your family, your friends. A bug? Sure. The little inchworms. Starlight loves those. They are they are so cute. Starlight's been having them fall out of trees, baby ones and adult size inchworms. And besides that, let's see, is a grasshopper. You could share my videos with a grasshopper, and you could check out my playlist. Plus, if I said that earlier, you can do it again. Why not? There's interesting topics on there, and also you could check me out on Instagram at 1995 Starlight, or on Facebook, and that is Kathy with a K Dingman Starlight. So anyway, before I start, I just want to say welcome. I did meet a couple yesterday, and thank you for subscribing to my YouTube channel. It was really interesting meeting you both in that little short space of time. Thank you for helping me out. And welcome to this YouTube channel. And also, all of you that have been there, yes, you've been here from day one, and you're still here with Starlight. Thank you for being here. And all of you that have joined from the time that I started all the way till now, thank you for being here. And all of you that subscribed, give me a thumbs up, or share my videos, or even leave me a comment down below. Thank you so much. You can be a part of this family. And anyway, today I want to make this video is, why are you still putting it off? Putting what off? You know what it is that you keep on putting it off. It's something that you put, on the back burner. You're not completing it yet. You're getting distracted. You're letting other things, and this time of the year is so important because it's so beautiful. Depending on where you live, this is really a big, huge time to really be focused on the things that you want to work on. And this is the time right now, because of spring, people are getting out. People are, that energy flow this is the time, to protect your energy, because spring brings a lot of people, that were hibernating in their house, especially if it was wintertime, the snow, they stayed cooped up all winter long. They wouldn't go out. They might not even have a dog, because then a dog would give them, it's great that people have dogs, because guess what? You got to take the dog out of the house. That means you got to get out. So a lot of dogs actually help owners to get their exercise, because they love their dogs so much, right? I hope you love your dog enough to not just, walk down the sidewalk, right? Why would you want to just walk out of your house and walk down the sidewalk? Why not, get your dog, have put a blanket in the back of your car, so that the dog I know what it's like, dog hair everywhere. Believe me, I had one. Used to take it on dog walks a lot. That was my little buddy, Sassy. She wasn't so sassy. She was too friendly for Starlight, but I brought my dog with me every day to go out and jog, and she loved it, or take her out in the woods. So yes, animal lovers that have a dog, get out, take your dog for a good run. They need that. Find somewhere. There's places that, they need to run loose a little bit. Try to avoid being around people when you do that, and make sure your dog is not the dog like mine would Sassy, where are you going? you know, like you be chasing a dog all day long because it wants to play now. So yeah, if your dog is that dog like mine was, is that when you let it loose, you know, it stayed around for a little bit, and before you know it, you don't know where the heck your dog went. So be mindful of that, is to get your dogs out and get out in nature. But this is the time right now, is, you know, you got to put all the excuses away, and, you know, no more winter time, especially if you live like in areas like where I came from, New York, where it's cold and you don't want to get out very much because, you know, the cold kind of keeps you in. Now, this is why it's so important that you got to really protect your energy, is because so many people that were stuck inside because they refused to go out in the cold, now they're coming out too, you know. So there's going to be people out, and you got projects that you want to work on, and it doesn't matter what projects that you want to work on, but no more excuses. You got to get these things done. You got to, you know, you got to work on those, and be careful of the distractions out there that, you know, could be your family members, you know. Now, if they want you to go out for a hike, now that's a great thing to go out and do. Yeah, go out and spend time with your family out for a hike, you know, but there's things that, you know, if you don't want to do something, don't feel pressured that you got to go do something every single time, you know, especially when you got goals and things to work on. And if you want to get these things done, you got to be disciplined. You got to stay focused on what it is that you're working on. And I'm telling you, people go, you know, the beginning of spring and summer, people go crazy at these times. They get so excited. And so, you know, some people get really super carried away. They get risk takers out there doing crazy stuff. You know, I just seen something the other day, and I was like, I could not believe my eyes. You know, and it's so important. Like, if you got teenagers, really, what kind of friends are they hanging out with? And teach your children, you know, is they need to learn this. And I don't know if they're learning this in school or at home, but if your teenagers are with like bad apples, teenagers, the ones that are going out and doing foolish things and taking risk, and you're, you know, you could have a son that, you know, been raised up in a good way, you know, and you've been bringing him up in a good way, or her, she or he, and then you let them blend in with, you know, bad company, bad, you know, taste as far as having friends. Is I was at a grocery store, and there was teenagers. I was like, really, why are you here? You know, I don't even know why. At the parking lot at a grocery store, is I was hearing this yoo-hoo-hoo-hoo, and I'm like, what is that noise? So it wasn't like I was spying on these kids. I looked around, and there was one teenager driving his car in the parking lot, and a teenager was on the back, hanging on dear life on the back, standing on the bumper of the car, driving, you know, at a decent speed in the parking lot at a grocery store. Not only that, they were playing basketball. I mean, like throwing balls around in the, you know, that is not good. You know, so you got to be careful. There's crazy things that go on when the weather gets warm, is not to be pulled in or sucked in. And if you have teenagers, please, and or kids, and if you're not with them all the time, you know, that kid could have gotten really hurt even when they were playing football or whatever ball they were playing with. Is that, you know, one false move, that's all it takes, you know, and it could be one child, you know, getting hurt, you know. And being at the grocery store, it wasn't my business. I wanted to go in the grocery store and say, hey, these kids are out here, you know, doing this stuff. It's really horrible. So you gotta really, at this time, is don't get so caught up with what everybody else wants you to do. Is that you gotta focus on what the things that you've been putting off. You've been putting it off for so long, you know. And so now is the time to, no matter what time of the year, is to stay focused and work on those goals that you have. Because if you don't, you know, that goal is going to get buried, you know, with a pile of stuff at home. You're going to forget what you were working on, and you're going to, oh yeah, go out and have fun out in nature. Yeah, go out for a hike, but discipline yourself and make space for working on the projects, whatever they are. I don't care. Maybe it's a house project. You know, I knew somebody a while back that was working on, they had a garage and they were turning it, sorry, Starlight needs a drink here. They had a garage, and what they were doing is turning their garage, nobody drove a car in it, it just was a garage, their working tool shed or whatever, and they were turning it into like a one-bedroom little space, you know, like a man's cave, you know, and that's what they were doing. You know, every time I called that person up, they didn't have to go out to a job or anything, but you know, they were putting it off and putting it off and putting it off and putting it off, and they had no excuse. They had nowhere to go. They couldn't drive. They had all that time, but they weren't even distracted. I don't know what they were doing, but the job just sat there. And every time I called him, you know, as to talk to him, you know, he felt guilty as, yeah, you know, even there's some people that will admit and say, well, I'm being lazy right now. You know, yeah, I am actually being lazy right now. I don't feel like doing it. But you know what? Nothing gets done by not doing anything. And if you want to achieve like putting something together at your house, working on like yard projects, gardening, I'll tell you what, if it's a garden, you can't put that stuff off. You got to be on that stuff. You got to. You put off weeding a garden, getting it all ready, you know. Starlight loves gardening, and it's a lot of work. There's a lot of things that you can do where you can save on picking so much weeds or working on the weeds. There's so many different things that you can do that will really save you a lot of time. But if you put the gardening off, you're going to have weeds that are going to overtake all the vegetables and fruit and herbs that you're growing, and you might as well forget about even having a garden, because it takes a lot of work. A lot of people want a garden, but I'll tell you what, it takes a lot of work. Just like children, a lot of people want babies. They don't know what they're getting themselves into because society makes it look like it's easy. And that's another thing, is that you can't put off things with your children. You got to be there for your children. Same with your relationships. You know, you got to be there for those that are there loving and supporting you. Yeah, ignore them, you know, get distracted where you're not focused on the ones that are there for you. Guess what? That's how relationships die and fade away. Is number one is God. You are the most important person. Take care of your needs. Make sure you're taking care of all your needs, you know, physical, you know, make sure you're getting exercise, getting out with nature, you know, relaxation time. You know, you need to, you know, have balance with yourself, you know, like eating healthy, changing your, you know, Starlight is working on quitting coffee again, not even having tea in the morning, you know, is that you got to be consistent no matter what it is that you got working on. And it's not just physical stuff to work on, is to, you know, be there for your loved ones, your husband or wife, girlfriend or boyfriend. But make sure your needs are taken care of first. Make sure with God that you know what it is, what they need help with, you know, but know what you need first for yourself. And that way you can actually be there for those loved ones that are out there that are there for you. Because if you neglect, you gotta be there for your loved ones, the ones that are there loving and supporting you. And because if you don't, you know what? I don't want to tell you this, but this does happen. If you neglect your husband or your wife, some other man or some other woman is going to come along, and they could get, I don't know if the word is enticed, but they could get pulled away because they're going to show them attention. They're going to show them, you know, different things that they're not getting at home. And it's so important that you don't neglect their needs. And that means everything. You know, it means their emotional needs. It means, you know, being there emotionally for them, being there, you know, to communicate with them, be there, you know, to go and spend time with them. It shouldn't be all about work all the time, or your friends. You know, you gotta, number one, God, you, and they should be the next important person in your life, whoever you have closest to you. If you don't have a boyfriend, a girlfriend, a husband or wife, if you got parents that have been there being great parents, and they brought you up in the best way they could, you know, you gotta be there. They're the ones that are not controlling you. They're the ones that are not over, you know, like trying to force you what to do and trying to tell you what, you know, you got to do. They can guide you and love and support you, but it's up to you. They can't make you do shit. They can think, but if those are the kind of parents, you might not want to spend that much time with them, because that is what they're going to do, is try to guide you what they think. They live their life. It's your life right now to live, so don't let other people try to manipulate you or to control you and to try to guide you to what they want you or what they see you doing. So, you know, and that happens with me as I have people trying to tell me what to do. You know what? It doesn't even matter. I listen to God. Whatever God wants me to do, that's what I'm working on. So people could tell me all kinds of stuff, but I'm not listening to you. If you gave me some good insight and gave me some good advice and I agree to that, that's up to me to take that as good advice. I have one friend that really has been there from, you know, through thick and thin with me, and we have a great communication, and that person gives me great sound advice, and I trust that person. I will take that person's advice because they don't do me wrong. They are guiding me and helping me out. So if you give me advice that is not going to guide me and help me out, I don't need that kind of advice. And same with you. You don't need those kind of people in your life to try to trip you up, because there's a lot of people out there, they are telling you stuff because they don't want you to live your life purpose. They don't, you know, there's a force out there. They don't want you to find out who you are. They don't want you to find out what your life purpose is. That's why they have the Hollywood stars, to distract you, to pull you away from really who you are and why are you here? What are you supposed to be working on? So don't fall for that stuff. There's a lot of distractions out there, and especially now, you know, I go to a lot of parks, you know, and there's people, and I think it's great. They have parties, you know, at the parks, you know, for birthdays and stuff, or, you know, later on it's going to be for graduation parties. So it is important to get together with people that, you know, love and support you, but you don't have to listen to other people's advice, because they're the ones that could be trying to trip you up and put you on a different path and get you lost in really what you're supposed to work on. So put off the excuses, but don't get distracted. Like I said, right now, people are going to want you to go, hey, come on out, let's go to the bar tonight, you know, hey, let's go. I'll tell you, these are like the worst, one of the worst places that you can go is the casinos. You know, you talk about toxic energies or negative energies, unclean spirits and all that. Man, it is nasty. Starlight has been in casinos too many times. The energy is too funky. You got some people that are, you know, they're highs and lows the whole entire time that you're there. You got people that are winning at one moment, losing the next. Winning, feeling great, and then they can't walk away. They end up putting more money on the plate, on a table or whatever, for whatever game that they're playing, and bam, they lost it all. So anyway, I love you so much. Is really, it's any projects or people that you have in your life, or even your pets, please don't ignore your pets. Please, please be there for your pets. Make sure they're getting plenty of exercise, plenty of water. You know, don't overfeed them. You know, what are you feeding them? You know, are you feeding them the right stuff? Leftovers, right? Gotta Google it. Find out before you feed your pets. You know, what kind of dog do you have? Should my dog... So be good with your pets. What are you feeding them? Should your type of dog be eating that kind of food? If not, really, you're going to pay money just like you. If you're not eating healthy food, well, later on, you have a choice. I'm not here to control anybody. You have a choice to eat healthy or not. Starlight's on a raw diet vegetable here, like a plant-based diet here, eating raw vegetables, raw fruit, no cooked anymore. So, you know, you have a choice to eat healthy, or you can eat junk food and go to McDonald's or Burger King or whatever, all those other fast food places. And that is, you know, yeah, that cheap, you know, oh yeah, it's cheap, it tastes really good, but I'll tell you what, the side effects are going to catch you later on. And you know what, you think it was cheap then when you went through the drive-through or wherever you go to get your food that's not good for you. Later on, you think it's cheap now, later on it's going to be a hospital bill, and I don't want that to happen to you. But when you don't take good care of yourself and your health, later on it can catch up to you, and that's when you're going to be paying for it. So I love you, and make sure you know your dogs and animals are well taken care of. Plenty of water. Please don't leave your dogs in your car. A lady did this the other day at a library. She left the windows open. It just that the dog ended up getting out, and it was a big fuss at the library, and it should have been a big fuss, because really, if you're going to go to the library, don't bring your dog. It was sunny out. You know, I know what it's like being in my car, not having the windows open. Even having the windows open a certain distance, you know, so it's not good for those dogs to be inside closed spaces like that, especially at this time of year, especially where I am. There's days that, you know, that sun can really, those cars are like a greenhouse effect, not shitting you. It is, you know, so be careful, love your dogs, and treat them, you know, like, believe me, you don't want to be closed in your car without windows open, and your dog doesn't either. So I love you so much. This is Starlight. You could give this video a thumbs up. You could subscribe to my YouTube channel, plus leave a message down below. Beep, beep, beep. You could share my videos with your family, your friends, a cat, a dog, and check out my playlist. Plus, you can find me on Instagram at 1995 Starlight, or on Facebook, and that's Kathy with a K, Ding with Starlight. I love you all. Don't let other people distract you. Focus on what you need to work on. You know what? They're going to try to pull you away. They're, you know, not purposely, but this is how the matrix work, is that people are going to try to pull you away, get you to do stuff, you know, and hey, they were having a party, a barbecue, a picnic, a basket. You got to watch out for those kind of parties. Are they bringing alcohol to those parties? What kind of, you know, do you really want to go to a picnic? Because a lot of people do. When they have a picnic, they're bringing alcohol or drugs or whatever to, even if the park says no alcohol, they're, you know, people don't care. So I love you so much. This is Starlight. Namaste. This is Starlight. Love, light, and peace.